Garrett Blevins here with week 1, day 3 of this new split. I wanted to note here that I have a lot more barbell movement volume in this program. It actually came out to about 70% of the total volume this week. And that's up from the last cycle I did of the Kingpin, where about 60 to 65% of the volume was through assistance work. And so that's hamstring curls, lat pull downs, those sorts of things. In this program, a lot more of my assistance work is still done with a barbell, such as JM presses for bench press assistance, or bent rows, those sorts of things. But also there's just a lot more volume from the actual working sets, about double the working sets in the secondary movements. So let's say on a max effort day you might do 1 or 2 sets of 3. And the volume protocol for RTS, you're doing 6 sets of 3. And so that will taper down to 3 or 4 later in the program, depending on how many reps I'm doing, triples or doubles. But it's definitely a lot of volume so far. I think this day I had somewhere around 15,000 pounds of squatting volume, and it really trashed my back. I did all of these reps without a belt and tried to hold the pause pretty good and hold it deep, but it was still really difficult today. Some of that has to do, I think, with my upper back tightness. You'll see I have some new elbow sleeves here. These are the SBD elbow sleeves. They're really nice. I like them a lot. This is my first workout using them, but I've had really bad tendonitis in my left arm. I'm going to start trying to work through that and figure out what exactly is causing it. I think it's the low bar position in the squat, but that was affecting some upper back tightness, and I think my lower back was picking up the slack on that. So the bench presses today felt hard with that tendonitis as well. It was hard to get it started off the bottom, and they still went okay. I started with 315 as my working sets, and once I got warmed up and felt a little better, I finished out with, I think, 3 or 4 sets of 365 for 3, and those went pretty well. I think this is one of my better days with conventional form. I was advised to keep my hips higher and not sit down as low, and I started to feel more comfortable in this position. What I focus on right now out of the bottom is rotating my shoulder blades back. More the motion of putting your shoulder blades in your back pocket. That's a cue that works for me, instead of thinking about pinching my shoulder blades together, because that actually puts me into kind of a shrug position where I bring my shoulders up towards my ears too much. And so thinking about pulling those shoulder blades back is helpful. This was my last set here with 455 for 2. This still felt pretty easy. I probably went too light on this, but without a belt and after all the squatting, I figured I'd just take it a little bit more conservative today. And so all in all, a good workout. I was pretty happy with it, and especially with the conventional form, I think it's coming along. I wanted to talk today about something that's been on my mind. I was talking with a few people, and one of them has had some struggles with drug addictions, but when they became a believer, they believed, and their personal experience was that God just kind of healed them of that addiction in a moment. And that's impressive. That's wonderful. They do seem to have a transformed life. I fully believe that that's how it worked out for them, but I don't know that that's the norm. There's another person, and this person was involved in the conversation, and they're currently struggling with an addiction, and the advice kind of to them was, well, just wait on God to take this away from you, to take your struggle away. Well, I think that this passage from Philippians is interesting. It shows that God is the one who works in you, both to will and to work. But right before Paul says this, he says, work out your own salvation. And that's working out your salvation by the grace God has given you. And so this doesn't mean that you're just somehow superpowered and you have all these great abilities now that you maybe have faith in God, but it means that God is actually working in your life, is helping you, is assisting you. And that's an important part of the process of being saved. Being saved isn't just something where you get your get into heaven free card one day because you accept a couple of things out of the Bible and you believe they're true. Being saved is your whole life being transformed and you being renewed. It's a process that's ongoing. And it's important to remember that we play a part in that too. We are supposed to work that out. We work it out through the grace that God has given us, but we are involved in the process. We're not only supposed to sit on our hands and wait. Sometimes we have to wait on God to show up and we can't make things happen, but in our personal lives and in our choices, whether to sin or whether not to sin, we have been enabled by God to live victoriously. Blessings.